Hi everyone, welcome back to my Elden Ring series where I make a build for every melee weapon in the game. In this episode, I'll be covering the Rotten Crystal Sword. This weapon is a straight sword that requires 13 strength, 10 dexterity, and 15 intelligence to wield, and inflicts the Scarlet Rot status effect. It scales primarily with strength and intelligence, and comes fixed with the Spinning Slash skill, which cannot be changed. This sword can be found in a chest in the Halig tree guarded by 3 Crystallians. For this build, I decided to two-hand the Rotten Crystal Sword to maximize its damage with its strength scaling. In my offhand, I have the Poison Hand for the sole purpose of giving us a boost to our damage when we trigger Scarlet Rot on an enemy. We don't even need to meet the stat requirements for the Poison Hand to take advantage of this effect. My playstyle for most boss fights or other tough encounters involves using a combination of light attacks with our sword and spinning slash attacks to apply Rot as quickly as possible. You could of course power stance 2 of the Rotten Swords if you really want, but unfortunately you can only get 1 per playthrough naturally. If you didn't know, the way status effects work with power stancing is that each weapon only applies I think 65% of its normal status buildup, but of course if you do the math, 2 swords still gives a little bit more than 1. But still, with those numbers it's not exactly that much of a trade-off to just use a single two-handed sword, so that's what I did. We also have multiple pieces of gear that give us a buff from applying Rot, so it is very satisfying when we proc it. Going back to the spinning slash weapon skill, this skill is actually pretty strong despite being very basic. The biggest upside is that it does a really good job stun locking most non-boss enemies, even medium-sized ones like the omens and the sewers. This is of course really conducive to an aggressive playstyle, which makes it more fun in my opinion. For my stats, at level 150, I have 60 vigor, 16 mind, 21 endurance, 54 strength, 10 dexterity, 48 intelligence, and 10 faith in arcane. Our vigor is high, which is nice because it gives us a very large health pool. 16 mind is enough to use 5 full spinning slash combos, which isn't actually a lot, so if you really want to lean into this skill, it would help to have a little bit more mind. Endurance is only moderately important for this build. I didn't really have too much of an issue with stamina personally. For our damage stats, I went pretty equally into both strength and intelligence due to the weapon's inherent scaling. 54 strength is effectively the soft cap for two-handing, so we have a lot of extra points to put in intelligence. For my armor, you might have noticed that I'm using some of the same pieces in my last video with the crystal sword, and that's because I thought it would be a fun idea to pretend that this is actually the same character, but now he's been corrupted by the Scarlet Rot just like his weapon. I have the Mushroom Crown, which like the Poison Hand, gives a damage boost after we proc Scarlet Rot. And I again have the Scale chest armor and the Lusat's manchettes, and then finally the Omen Greaves, which I think give off a sort of putrid, rotted sort of look. For my talismans, I am using the Kindred of Rot's Exaltation, which gives yet another Rot-related damage boost, and all 3 of our sources for this buff stack with each other. Then I have the Two-Handed Sword Talisman for a damage boost when two-handing, followed by the Dragon Crest Great Shield for more defense. And finally, I have the Shard of Alexander to boost our spinning slash damage. For the Flask of Wondrous Physic, I have what's basically my default setup, and that includes the Greenburst Crystal tier for more stamina regeneration, and the Opaline Hard tier for more defense. And that is going to be it for this Rotten Crystal Sword build video. Here's an overview of my setup. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.